Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the weekly wrap-up show here on NETSN. It's week 9. Your boy Brett Swinney here alongside of me tonight. We got Christian Blevins and KO Kyle Owens. How's it going, fellas?
It's going good. Good week.
Yeah, doing good. Finally got back up behind the mic last night for a volleyball game. It was fun to be a part of.
I've seen you recently, and it wasn't on the screen.
I know. No, it was a fun time last night. A good volleyball match, and so I enjoyed that. But happy to be here tonight too. We got some good games to talk about.
We do. Speaking of talking about some games, let's talk about the pick'ems as we start here. We had 2 perfect 10 weeks, guys. A familiar name, Jeremy Hubbard. I don't know if you've heard of that name before.
Oh boy.
10 of 10, and Coach Tony Riley. So 2 coaches with 10 out of 10 this week.
That's not bad. That's good.
I
had 8. I had 8 right. I had a couple that stumped me a little bit, but overall, not a bad week. I'm only 4 behind. So on my picks that I made that were posted this morning, I had a couple of upset picks. So we'll see how I do this week, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I went 9 out of 10. That was one off. I missed the Tyler High game. That was the only one I missed. But other than that, I went without a loss except for that one. So not too bad. We still got this Jason Shivers guy. He's in first place on us here. He's got 72. Jamar Washington right behind him at 70. And then I'm sitting right there in third place at 69. Kyle, you're right below me there. 68. Some other familiar names we've got on our leaderboard for the pick'em right now. You got our man Ed East is at 66, along with Jeremy, and the professor is also at 66. He's trying to slowly move up the board himself. Then our man from the Tyler paper, Brandon Ogden's at 63. So got some of our NETSN familiars there on that leaderboard. Let's see. Who we got here tonight? We've got Jake with us tonight. Welcome, Jake. I like. Ooh, it's even slanted. That's even cool.
Oh wow,
that's interesting. Got our Halloween theme tonight. We got Chris Bates is chanting for hooks already. All right, Chris. Jonathan's here. What's going on? Welcome, Jonathan, to the show.
Jonathan.
All right, Chris. 6-4. Ooh, that's a rough week, Chris. Rough week. It was a tough picking week last week. Let's see. Eddie says somebody needs to replace their smoke detector battery. That's funny. Looks like your pops is here this evening. Christian says good evening.
Oh Lord, he's having a good week. His Patriots beat the Bills. Yeah.
Hey, you know they hadn't had too many of those, so he can have one every once in a while.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, they've had a pretty rough year.
All right, let's talk about game one here. Longview over McKinney North, 36-13. Kind of looking at the stats of this one for Longview, they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. Looks like they threw the ball a total of 8 times, only completed 3 passes for 69 yards. You know what that means? A lot of Taylor Tatum. They had 363 yards on the ground. Anybody surprised? But I've thought Longview would handle this one pretty simple. I mean, it's this Longview.
I mean, I'm not totally surprised. I kind of figured that they were pretty much in a position to win that game. The only way that they probably wouldn't win it is if they were, I guess, compromised in some kind of way or whatever. But I mean, I'm not shocked that they didn't throw the ball either. They ran the ball like they were supposed to. Taylor Tatum does what Taylor Tatum does, proving that he's the best running back in the state. And I'm not really shocked about this game. So it was a good win for Longview. I mean, they got a test coming up in 2 days. They will be at home against Tyler High. So I mean, we'll see what they do, and that'll be it with them.
I'm not surprised at the outcome. I guess the only surprise was at the end of the first quarter when McKinney North was up by 7. After that, it was all Longview. I feel like we say the same thing about Longview every week, how they don't throw the ball a lot or very effectively even. But when you have a ground attack like with Taylor Tatum, who had 153 and 2 tutties, along with Washington, who added 133 yards on the ground and 2 tutties himself. I mean, when you have a dynamic running game like that and you can go for 363 on the ground, that's a powerful weapon. And if you can run the ball and play good defense, that'll take you a long way in the playoffs. So Longview, I'm not surprised by the outcome. It was the 2 top teams in this district, we think. So it was kind of I thought it'd be maybe a little closer, but glad the Lobos got the victory.
Yeah, you look at on the year too, Kyle. Eventually they're going to have to throw the ball at some point. You would think someone's going to at some point.
Oh
yeah, they've only completed 40 passes on the year, 40 of 80 for 953 yards, which isn't terrible, but I mean they're throwing the ball. Their yardage is less than half. It's about a third of what their total yards is. So
yeah, but I mean, right? I mean, listen, they run pretty much with Taylor Tatum most of the time. I mean, they run wildcat formation. They shoot. Sometimes they even put him at quarterback. I mean, that's one thing I saw when they played McKinney. When they played McKinney, I saw him at quarterback at some points because their quarterback, I don't know what year he's in, but right now they're not worried about throwing the ball. But I will agree with you, Brett. I think at some point they are going to have to throw the ball because, I mean, you look at who's in the playoffs this year. What if they run into Alito again? I mean, they're really going to throw the ball. So, I think Mansfield, Timberview too. So yeah, they're really going to throw the ball in the playoffs.
I mean, we say that, but we see teams like Franklin that run the ball all the time that win state championships. There's plenty of run-dominated teams that can win state championships. So I don't think I think you need to have Tut has the ability to throw the ball. Like he can throw a good ball. When I was at the Lufkin game, he hit a couple of good long passes. So he has the ability to do it. what Longview's blessed with is a dominant run game and a great offensive line where they don't have to throw the ball. So I think if they could continue to do that, they may not have to rely on it. You still have to hit a couple of passes to keep the defense honest, of course, but I mean, you can win just running the ball. So I don't think it's too far-fetched.
Yeah.
CM, what's up?
What's happening?
We're talking.
I had to watch my.
We're talking Longview, McKinney North. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, I had to watch my favorite band march before I had to get online. So.
Oh, I paused. I paused it.
I was trying to watch it, but I was just like,
the pride of Lindell's getting first. I mean, it's
like always, like y'all always get first,
right? I mean, we're the best band in the land, so
I mean, I getting first this year.
Pride of Lindell, baby.
Man, we need to bring intern Claire here to give her opinion on the bands.
Shout out to Troop. They brought home 5th place last night.
Yeah.
New Diana got first in 3A military. Lufkin got back-to-back state titles in 5A and 6A military. Longview, the Big Green Machine, came in 3rd. Sabine and White Oak got 2nd. Sabine got 3rd. And I'm missing another team from East Texas that got in. But shout out to the bands, man. Shout out.
Yeah, bands are doing excellent. You can't have a really good high school football game without the band.
No. I want to intern Claire. I want to give her and her Troop Tiger band a compliment because last Friday night that Troop West Rusk game, they were rocking. I was jamming. Both bands. West Rusk was too. That was the other school. West Rusk, also the other 3A school at the state. But both bands were jamming. But Troop had me a little more lit on their side, I must say.
There were some stalkerish type pics taken as well.
Yes, there was.
Oh man.
I don't know if that's a good thing to say.
Well, I was in the middle of the field and there happened to be a picture of me taken from the stands, unbeknownst to me. So
you had fans all over the place, Cal.
That's right. Shout out to Donovan, I believe is his name.
Yes.
Yeah. Donovan. Shout out to Donovan too. He recognized me, so shout out to him.
We talked a little about this game. Vince and Corey, you want to have anything to throw in there about what you thought about the Longview McKinney North score, 36-13?
I mean, it wasn't as big of a blowout as we thought it would be. So I don't know. I think Longview is tough, but I think they're beatable. So yeah, I think, I don't know if anybody in the district is going to beat them, but I don't know if they will make it to state either. I feel like, I don't know. I have no idea really, because by the time playoffs gets here, no telling what'll happen really. But I just feel like people like them, just the way they look right now this year, they look like somebody could get the best of them.
All right, Mr. Towel, do you have anything to add to this one? I see you got your towel ready.
No, I don't have anything to add to it.
Okay, all right. Game 2, Tyler High 23-20 over Lufkin. This game was back and forth. Same kind of thing happens every week to Tyler High, but they didn't get so far behind in this one. They were able to come back and win. This was the only game I missed, but it was a good matchup. I think it could have gone either way, and I said that. I think if Tyler High plays well, they have a chance to win. I thought it was an evenly matched game. I think they're pretty even right now as far as where their programs stand. Guys, what do you guys thought about this one?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The game changed when Caden Granberry hit Derek McFall for a 70-yard touchdown. I just felt like after that, Lufkin's defense they just absolutely gave up. I mean, you saw what happened, with Tyler's defense. Their defense made some really, really big plays when they needed to, and they made the important stops. Now, I wasn't shocked by the score. I thought it would have been something like 26-20. But I'm not entirely shocked by 23-20. So, I mean, it was a good game. We saw what Tyler High can do. Now, the question is, can they do that going into this week's game against Longview? We've already said our big predictions early this morning about it. So, I I don't know how they're going to look. I said it was going to be close. I said Longview was still going to win, but it would be close. But right now, just showing from that game against Lufkin, they look pretty good defensively. They just have to stop Taylor Tatum. That'll probably be my only concern. They have had trouble stopping people up the middle all year. So, but they looked impressive. They've made plays when they needed to, and we'll see how they do this week against Longview.
Yeah, this Lufkin Tyler game was everything we thought it would be, as close as we thought it would be. I mean, these teams both evenly matched, and Tyler got the best of them this past Friday night. I just think Tyler, they did it again with a balanced attack, 189 yards through the air and 172 on the ground. You love to see a balanced offense. The defense played outstanding, and it's something we talk about every week with this Tyler team. They showed that grit, that never give up mentality, where they had to fight back again from behind, but they've been doing that all season. They're kind of used to it by now. So just love to see the grit that Tyler's playing with, and it'll get them more wins. Look, Tyler's got 6 wins this year. I mean, who thought coming into the year that was going to be the outcome, that you'd be sitting at 6 wins with a chance at the playoffs this late in the season? I don't think, if you ask a lot of Tyler residents that, I don't think a lot of people, they would have been happy with, 3-4 wins this season, and here they are sitting at 6. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Eddie, we're starting off on a good streak right now with me and Eddie already agreeing this early in the show. That's good. It's a good outlook. But yeah, Tyler's looking good right now, and I'm ready to see how they look this week. But a big win last week to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Okay.
I'm definitely gonna say this though. Of course, I did pick Tyler to win. And I've said it before numerous times. Tyler's gonna beat either Longview or they're gonna beat Forney. Now, probability is they beat Forney because Longview is tough. But then again, the pressure's on Longview. It's not on Tyler. It's on Longview. Listen. We've already seen what pressure can do to people. You know what I'm saying? You can have a bad game against a decent football team, and whoop-de-doo. You know what I'm saying? That goes a perfect season. But Eddie, I don't look at computers. I don't do all the kind of stuff. I read the room. I read the room and I check the temperature outside. That's what I do. And the temperature right now, it screams upset. Is it probable? Possibly not. But you know what? Anything can happen. At this point in time, if you're Longview, you want to play a great game. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to go out there and give Tyler any room to win the game. But shout out to Tyler, 6-2 on the year. If they lose the last 2 games, it's still 6-4, still a winning record. But get in the playoffs. That's what you want to do. You want to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they have a chance. I don't know. It's like every time I get ready to say this, I'm like, it's Longview we talking about, and I always tell myself to be quiet.
Okay.
But I do feel like they have a chance to beat them. I was at the game last year. I mentioned that and how I felt like the game could have easily been the other way in the first half because of the multiple red zone appearances Tyler High had in the first half that ended up with 0. And like to KO's point, so KO, I actually predicted that Tyler High would win 7 to 8 games this year.
Really?
Yeah. And my buddy thought I was crazy. And he went to Tyler High. And so he was kind of on me like there's no way they're gonna do that. And I just kept telling him, I said, I don't know, man. I think they got a chance to do it. I actually predicted that Legacy would win. At first, I think I said 6 games, and then after I looked at their schedule, I gave them 3. And I ironically, they ended up with 3. So I was really hyped when they got that third one.
Listen, I said I said none.
Yeah.
For legacy, I said none.
But I'm one that comes in. The way I look at the game is that, again, I don't really care. What your record says, and I don't really care who you beat before you played me. Um, so I even though sometimes it might feel like a pipe dream, that's what I went with, and I stuck with it all year. I stuck with it all year. Um, I think if they don't get the one over Longview, I think Corey's right. I think they might pull it off against Forney. Um, they definitely got the talent to do it. The question is how long is it gonna take for them to get going? Because right now it's always the third quarter. Third to fourth quarter is when it kicks in. But when it kicks in, it's like it don't matter who you playing, what the score is, all of a sudden they take over. I'm calling it that Cujo spirit. I don't know what else to call it but that, because I remember when they played the Plano East team and the game was over and they just came back. I don't even want to say came back. They just took over in the last minutes of a game, and it's like every
You
game they
remember watching
play.
that game?
Yeah,
You remember watching that
it's like
game on
every
TV?
game is like that right now with them. They
Man,
start out slow.
we had the old console set in the living room,
Yeah,
man. You know the old console set.
yeah. So
That was
I
man, that
only
was
thing I
great.
could
Good
call
time.
it, is that Cujo spirit, and I just don't know when it's gonna kick in. But I know I've 8 games now. I've seen it kick in 8 games. Now 2 of them games it came in a little too late, but I've seen it happen. I think it's gonna happen against Longview too. I just don't know how far Longview is gonna be ahead before it happens. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If I'm Tyler High, I'm literally telling our guys we have to. If I'm Coach Rashawn Woods, I'm literally telling our guys, hey, Longview runs up the middle. If as soon as Taylor Tatum sees a hole, he's gone. We've got to stop him from
And I think they
taking
preparing
a
for him.
flight. Yeah,
I think they're
I
preparing.
think they're prepared for him too. The other thing is Tut. Tut with the play action plays. I had a little. I saw him. I saw the highlights earlier how to like they dump it down to the tight end. You know, do certain stuff like that. They run some reverses or whatever. But I think they're prepared for this game. They have to understand that this game. And by the way, I don't know how long. This is the other thing. I don't know how long it's been since Tyler High has beaten Longview. It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
But the weird thing was that Tyler High was dominant, and then it just flipped over. It
Yeah,
just changed, and when it changed, it never looked back.
but
It's
it
kind of
felt
odd.
like Longview was that. You used to see the old Tyler High teams, with Bryson Smith at quarterback, and then that was like in 2015, 2016. You saw Greg Ward back in 2011, 2012. They were always dominant, and then I don't know what happened. I think after that 2018 season, and a lot of people say, oh, well, 2021. Well, 2021, they got beat by Mongolia West. So in the first round of the playoffs, and they were 6-5. That's not dominant. What they did in 2018 and back in the past, you know, that was dominant. But Longview would always be that team to give them that one loss. Longview would always motivate Tyler High to be like, okay, we gonna beat every single team until the wheels fall off. So but it's been a minute since they beaten Longview.
All right. Game 3. Grand Saline puts it to Winona 62-21. I've seen Grand Saline. I talked about the power offense that they had. They kind of were back and forth with Art for a while. And we've also talked about Winona. I think Corey's said on numerous occasions that if they come out and take care of business and don't make mistakes, and they can compete with anybody athletically. But I don't know how the game shaped out here, but Grand Saline put it to them a little bit, guys. I'm a little surprised by the score differential, just because I saw what ARP did to Winona versus, and I saw what ARP did to Grand Saline. So Grand Saline must have played a really, really solid game in this one, and Winona just didn't have anything for them.
I'm not entirely. Well, yeah, I am shocked because I didn't think that Grand Saline would play that well. I didn't think. Well, I did think that they would play that well, but I thought that this game was going to be a little closer. But it wasn't. I really didn't get to see much of it. I was trying to catch up on the other games. But no, I'm actually very shocked that they were able to play as well as they did. And what is this team? What, in third now or fourth?
Grand Saline is now in fifth place at 2-3. Right now, they're kind of behind the 8 ball because they've got Edgewood in front of them, which Edgewood beat them by 1 point. They're in fourth at 2-2. So still a couple of games left. Grand Saline just has the 1 game left. They'll play Troop in 2 weeks. So good luck there.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be in trouble. They're going to have to pull off an upset at Troop and hope for Edgewood to lose out. And I still think, even with that, the tiebreaker would go to, unless Edgewood's able to win their last 2 games, which that would mean beating ARP and West Rusk, which good luck with that too. So it's sitting pretty right now for Edgewood. I think them and ARP are now going to be playing this week for that 3rd and 4th spot.
If Grand Saline can get the upset, then they'll be in the playoffs. In my opinion, if they can get the upset, but Edgewood against, you said what, ARP and West Rusk?
Yeah, that's who they have left on their schedule.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
So the game kind of went how I expected it to. I picked Grand Saline to win. Like I said last week when we were picking the games, Winona, they got the win over Edgewood. That was a huge win. They played a great game that night, forced 4 turnovers, blocked a couple of field goals, played out of their minds and beat Edgewood. So that gave them a chance. They needed to win this game against Grand Saline to keep their playoff hopes alive. And I think Winona's one of those teams that if you can get up on them, they kind of start, little chirping between themselves, between their own team, kind of start self-imploding. And I'm assuming that's kind of what happened Friday night. 62 points is a lot by the Grand Saline Indians, but congratulations to them. They got a win. They get a bye week this week and then get to finish out the year with Troop. And I mean, if you're Coach Drennan, all you could do is control what's in front of you. So you can't worry about, well, if Edgewood loses or if blah, blah, blah. All you could do is try to go out there and beat the Troop Tigers. So I think getting 2 weeks to focus in on that, those seniors playing their final game, who knows? We see crazier things happen every Friday night. So I'm not going to completely count out Grand Saline. Troop should be favored to win the game, but you never know what could happen. So I think it's just important for Grand Saline to finish on a strong note headed into the offseason, get ready for next year.
Yeah, I'm a little ticked off. I thought Winona was going to do something, but like you said before, Kyle, you made a statement. You're talking about them being disciplined. That team, Winona's too athletic to not be able to compete, and sooner or later, hopefully they'll put it together and they'll be able to compete. But I mean, this other problem, the inconsistency bothers me. You can't win one game, you can't win 1 week, and you prepare great 1 week, and then the next week you give up 62 points. That's stupid. Listen, logically it would tell you that the other team's not that much better than you. You're just not paying attention. You're not doing the things that you need to do to win the football game.
Yeah.
Something's wrong there. So that's the bad thing about that. But hopefully they'll be able to put something together. I'm an advocate of programs and coaches, and I want to see those teams succeed that should be able to succeed. But shout out to Grant Saline that came in and took care of business.
But Corey,
Like I said, that's a bad loss for Winona.
so Corey, let me throw this at you. So just to show what their the kind of the Jekyll and Hyde, if you want to say. So that Edgewood game we're talking about, they beat Edgewood 41-28. Okay. And Edgewood beat Grand Saline by 1. Okay. Then they go out and they lose to Grand Saline by 41 points. I mean,
yeah.
So it just shows that, like I said, if they play well and they play within themselves and don't beat themselves, or have penalties or whatever was the cause, then they can.
But to me, and like you said, to me, that's one of the hardest things to do in coaching is teaching kids how to win, because it's a step-by-step process. You have to break bad habits, and as you break bad habits, you've got to instill the winning culture. And you have to win, and you have to preach winning all the time. You have to do. To me, basketball is instantaneous, right? A lot of times you win like, hey, I'm gonna teach winning plays. Like you take charges, you cut off the lane, you rebound the back. Like that's stuff you have to build on. Football, it's a week-to-week process, and you only get results on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Like you can practice great all week, and then boom on Friday, one thing can screw up everything.
It takes one bad play, then it snowballs.
And then
all of a sudden, we can't do this, we can't do that. It's tough. I give it to them. It's tough, but eventually, if you can win over a program, if you can have the kids buy in, same thing we talked about with Tyler. If they can buy in, I think those kids have bought in. If you can win them with the buy-in, the teaching them how to win is not as difficult as it seems. Because if they believe in you, they'll believe in the process.
I agree with that. I agree.
All right. Game 4. White House over Mount Pleasant, 42-14. I think White House probably heard us saying, well, is Mount Pleasant number 2 or are we number 2? I think White House is the second best team in this district. I think they came out and established that, putting up 42 points and only allowing 14, which they've been in some shootouts with some teams this year, but that one was not. They kind of had a shootout with themselves. A great defensive performance there. Of course, we talked about the Mount Pleasant offense. The game needed to be low scoring for them to have a chance because they really hadn't put up a lot of points. And so you look at where they're sitting now. We got the game this week we talked about on the Beast from the East show this morning. White House, Texas High for the district championship looks like. Just kind of looking now, what we've got is we've got a 3-way tie for third with Pine Tree, Marshall, and Mount Pleasant now. So this is kind of got everything up in the air. We're going to have some games at the end of the season here that are going to be big factors in this. The Longview Pine
Tree.
Consistent. What's that? Who's the most consistent? I don't know that anybody in this district's been consistent, Corey.
Could they win 2 games if they could win 2 games in a row, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, you got Marshall, who's lost in district to Mount Pleasant and Texas High. They still have White House left and Nacogdoches. You've got Pine Tree, who has lost to Marshall and White House. They still have Texas High. And you got Mount Pleasant, who actually has the advantage technically because their schedule's the easiest. Mount Pleasant has Pine Tree and Hallsville left. So, but that Pine Tree Mount Pleasant game is a big one there, especially for Pine Tree.
If Pine Tree gets in the playoffs, oh my goodness.
Well,
I'm gonna hear that. I'm gonna hear that for a while.
That ain't happening. You on the safe side. Then they can't pull together enough wins. Not consistent enough.
So here's Marshall lost to Pine Tree. So Pine Tree beat them. So they're tiebreaker between those two. So right now, I think Marshall's at a disadvantage. Just the way
Pine Tree have to play now. They still got to play Texas High, right?
They do. Pine Tree has to play Texas High. They also play Mount Pleasant. So Pine Tree if
You think
they
they can beat?
Who else?
if they can beat Mount Pleasant, they've otherwise we might have a 3-way tie with some coin flips, and I'm sure we'll have a little bit better idea how that's going to play
They
out
can
after
beat.
next week.
Listen,
We all agree they can beat Mount Pleasant. Will they beat Mount Pleasant is the question.
Yeah.
I don't
think they
agree
can.
that they
They're
can.
not
I
a bad
don't-
football team.
I mean, yes, they can. Absolutely. Any team can beat
Okay,
anybody.
so-
They
so
absolutely can.
here's
I
my
just don't
theory.
think they will.
I've got my theory. A theory for this game. Okay. Let's see. They lost week 1. They won week 2. They lost week 3. They won week 4. They lost week 5. They won week 6. So they lose the odd weeks. This is the odd 9th game of the season. Of course, I think they're going to break that whenever they play Texas High the last game. But needless to say, this is what we're talking about. The up and down, the up and down. You can't put a streak together. Corey, you just hit on the nail on the head. They've yet to win 2 games in a row this season.
Mhm.
I mean,
but here's the thing. The reason why I say I'm probably gonna eat that because I've been, like I told y'all this morning, I've been hard on Pine True for 5-6 years now. I've been pretty much crazy to say that they should be in 4A right now. Right now, Pine Tree should be in 4A and they should be playing Chapel Hill, Kilgore, Lindale every single year instead of some other team being in that district.
hey, Christian, guess what? If they were in that district, they'd be 2-0. They beat Lindale and Jacksonville.
Yeah, they probably would be.
I mean,
just saying they need to.
Everybody's
be
beat
in
Jacksonville,
that district,
though.
right?
well, you're
Yeah.
right, Kyle. You're right. Everybody that's played them, you can't beat them if you don't play them. But yeah, basically everyone. Yeah.
Is it possible? Do y'all see Pine Tree going 5-5?
I have a
Because
question.
No.
because
How
I
did
do.
Pine Tree
No.
become the subject of a White House and Mount Pleasant game?
We just started. I mean,
Into the district, talking district standings, and
Because
Yeah.
The moderator went to the district stand, and I'm like, you got to win 2 games. Nobody's gonna win 2 games in a row. Like the Pine Tree haven't been able to do it. I just,
Mount
and
Pleasant
I've been on their coattail this year.
Mount
And I'm
Pleasant
like,
won 2 in
I
a row.
want them to be successful.
They beat
but Pine
Marshall
Tree,
and Mac.
I'm just right. They beat those. two.
but they beat Hallsville 10-7. I mean,
House was in that district too. Good God.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, they haven't won a game in district. That's why we haven't really talked about Hallsville a whole
Man,
lot.
that's not like Halsey. But I don't know. I'm frustrated because I've talked all this about hyped up Pine Tree because they're a good football team. I think they're a 500 6-4 is the peak that I gave them, right? They're a 6-4 team. If they put it together, they could be 6-4. Will they do it? Possibly not. You've done enough, but I don't know. I'm done talking about Pine Tree.
This is definitely going to be an interesting district, though. It's got a lot of kind of things that can happen here in the next couple of weeks. So, be interesting to keep up with that one. All right, Game 5, Mount Vernon with a dominant performance over Commerce, 38-13. Man, I picked Commerce in this. Mount Vernon in this game over Commerce, just because I thought Commerce's schedule had been kind of, I guess, easier. Mount Vernon's played some guys, and Mount Vernon seems to be kind of clicking. They have some younger players, and it seems like over the last few weeks they've been kind of getting better and better. But they really put it to Commerce. I'm a little shocked by the score that they won by. I thought it'd be maybe a couple touchdown game, but shout out to Mount Vernon. Great performance.
Listen, I picked Mount Vernon to win this game, but I got to tell you, I didn't think they dominate like that. I thought I said the game was going to be low scoring. I said that Mount Vernon and Commerce was going to be probably 13-10 maybe. I know that's a low score, but I said that was probably going to be a 13-10 score. Mount Vernon. It was a good game. I just don't think that I would that I would have expected that because I didn't, but that they dominated in great fashion, and that's all I can say about that one.
We like parity in high school football, but it seems like in these games that we've seen teams that are on the up and up, like Commerce, they had, were undefeated. Then they ran into Winsboro. Now they've taken a loss to Mount Vernon. So I think it's the creams rising to the top at the end of the season. I think that's what we're seeing. Teams have had great years, but they're just not to that level just yet to make some real noise and get into the playoffs. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But and Mount Vernon is one of those cream of the crops that I'm talking about. Is they may be a little down this year, of like in the chat saying they've moved some people around, so they're a little down this year. Not the same Mount Vernon team. No Mackenzie McGill in the backfield running the football. It looks different, but they still threw for over 300 yards, like, and 4 touchdowns. So that Mount Vernon offense is still the Mount Vernon offense. I just think that Mount Vernon's still got a very good football team, and Commerce just isn't there quite yet.
Well, Commerce is going to have a game with Mineola that last week, guys. That could be for a
playoff game. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was one of the ones I had gotten wrong, but I didn't know a whole lot about Commerce, but I based it off of who they played, and their common opponents is what I looked at, and the way they played Bonham and Winsboro is the reason why I went with Commerce. But obviously, Mount Vernon, I don't want to. I guess I can say dominated, dominated the entire game. To hold the team to what? 14, something like that. 13.
13 points.
13 points. Yeah, that I consider that domination. So.
Sorry about facial expressions. I'm watching I had the Mavericks and the Spurs game in the background, and I'm a Mavericks fan. So if you know anything about that, it's
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama era.
Yeah, it's just Mavericks are almost like the Dallas Cowboys. They just can't get right. I don't care what they just cannot get right. Cowboys just unlucky. Anyway, I want to talk about that.
I like those 49ers.
No, man, I picked Commerce, and I was off? That's another one of those games. Like it's you got to put them together, man. Like you want to win some games, though. Like you got to do it. Like this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Got to put some wins together. You got to when the game's on the line, and you have to win games that you need to win. You got to do it. That's what separates championship teams from just teams that just play.
And even then, like it should have at least been close. I don't really know what happened here. Like, I don't know.
Well, and I think Eddie's point, or Derek's point is valid, because what I saw early, when you see him lose to Sabine, talking about Mount Vernon, that one when I was like scratching my head, like, what's wrong with Mount Vernon? But it seems
right.
Too
then
late.
Sabine get blasted by Gladewater. Like, what is the deal?
Yeah, I know. So then, and then it just seems like maybe they're coming back. They're getting back in the groove. It makes sense. They move some guys around, make some adjustments, kind of coming into mid form, and now they've got a chance there to get that 3rd or 4th spot in the district. I think Pottsboro and Winsboro.
You know what? And I don't want to sound like I'm taking something from Mount Vernon. They came out and did what they had to do, obviously.
Yeah.
So, they did what they were supposed to do. And this is like, why, again, I always say, like, this is why we play the game, because on paper, okay, everybody could be a champion anybody could be a champion on paper, so shout out to Mount Vernon. They did what they had to do. They came and showed up. Commerce didn't. It is what it is.
I'm only saying about Commerce because I picked Commerce. It ain't had nothing to do with what Mount Vernon did. I ain't gonna disrespect them like that. I'm just saying I picked Commerce. They didn't show.
Yeah, I picked Commerce initially. Yeah, based off of some common foes. So
yeah,
true.
All right, game 6. Lindale goes into Palestine, comes out with a win, and the score to me, it wasn't surprising that it was close because I thought it'd be a good game, but 57-49 with the two teams running the ball the entire. I thought this game would be like over in 2 hours. maybe 35-28, but a high scoring affair. And if Jake, if you were there, may give us some insight on that. But it was back and forth the whole game. We kind of had this one that we kind of keep an eye on. Christian and I were keeping an eye on the score, and it was kind of going back and forth. And of course, the Kilgore Athens one's not on the pick 'em, but I do want to talk about that for a brief moment too while we're talking about this game. We had those two games we were watching, and we were just like, both of them were back and forth close. And it was a little bit better than the game we were calling. As Chapel Hill kind of took a little bit of frustration out of Henderson. But I was just really surprised that the high scoring. And you guys may disagree, but I just thought that with both teams kind of having that same mentality of take the air out of the ball, that the clock would just run the whole time. Jake says no defense, period. Well, I guess that explains it. If you just don't play defense, I guess you could get a lot of points. But I just really thought, because I've seen both teams play, and I thought it would be a pretty evenly matched game. They're similar styles, like to pound the ball up front. Maybe Palestine's a little more athletic than Lindale, but Coach Cochran's always going to have his team in the game. But what do you guys think about this score and how it turned out?
Well, let's be honest for a little bit. Lindale, like we all say, Lindale has a disciplined team. But 57-49 is. I thought it was at least going to be something like a 28-21 ball game. But no, it wasn't that at all. Like we both said, like we all said, Lindale is not that athletic. They are not that athletic compared to Palestine or teams like Kilgore or teams like Chapel Hill, but they find a way to beat these teams because they're disciplined. But yeah, no defense at all. Absolutely no defense. And you look at the game and you're just like, okay, offense, that's great. But defensively, it's just like, we already know Lindale's probably going to make the playoffs. Palestine, we don't know because of what we saw with Athens and Kilgore. We don't know. But no defense in this game. However, then we go to Kilgore and Athens. This is the game that me and Brett, we looked at it, and we had Jalen Lofters right by us. We looked at this game, and we were just kind of like, how in the world is Athens this good this year? Now, I know somebody from Athens, and the one thing that this person was saying, well, they brought up a lot of freshmen and sophomores off their team. I'm like, well, yeah, but this is Athens that we're talking about. I think their record last year was 2-8, but this year they're 5-3. So I don't. The fact that they went head up with Kilgore, and with Kilgore, almost everybody right now thinks they have the number one defense in the state right now. Not just in the East Texas, but the number one team in the 4A Division I. That's what everybody thinks. That's what almost everybody thinks right now, especially Kilgore fans. Their defense is astounding, but the score was tied 21-21, and that scared me when they almost beat Kilgore. When the score is tied 21-21 and you're having an absolute dogfight with Athens, that's scary to look at. And that, the one thing with Athens is they play Chapel Hill this week. I think I think Corey said it this morning. That's a trap game. That is a trap game. I still think Chapel is going to blow Athens out, but the way they play Kilgore, we don't know. So it's going to be a good game Friday. I can't wait to call this one.
I'm not surprised at the Lindale score. I think that Lindale Palestine game, we all agreed it was going to be close. These two teams are pretty even to each other, I would say. So we figured it would be close. I am kind of surprised at the high score of it, but from talking to a couple of people that were at the game, the key in that Chapel Hill game for Lindale was they were able to control the clock and have sustained long drives to keep the offense on the field. Well, against Palestine, they were quick scores. So they got into a shootout with Palestine instead of playing that ball control.
A running shootout.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's nothing wrong with. They scored more points than Palestine, and were able to get the victory. Made the stop when they needed to. So I think that it's a good win for Lindell. It keeps that momentum growing, and we've seen this Lindell defense, that Athens team that just scored 21 on who y'all say is the best defense, Kilgore. Well, Lindell held Athens to 7. So there's something that Lindell has figured out defensively. It just didn't happen in this game, but that's not to say Lindell's defense is bad, because we've seen Lindell play really good defense. So they just got into a shootout. They were scoring too quick. So
here's the thing. I have a question. Is that an indictment on Kilgore, or does that says a lot about Athens?
I don't think it's an indictment on Kilgore necessarily. I think it's a week-to-week thing. I think Athens was affected by maybe the way Lindell schemed them when they played them, and so weren't able to get that same. Maybe it was a better matchup Athens had with Kilgore.
I was saying matchup sometimes makes a difference.
Yeah,
matchups all the time make a difference. Matchups are almost 50% of your game plan. If you got a better offensive line, I don't care what you scheme, they're gonna run the football on. I don't care. Mm-hmm. If your trenches are better than the other trenches, they're gonna dominate the line of scrimmage. That's physics, right? Yeah. You can scheme whatever you want to scheme. You can create an advantage to where, listen, we're not gonna let you have the outside, but the inside we give up all day. We're not gonna mention the initials. But here's how it goes, right? I ain't mean to cut anybody off, but here's how it goes. Particularly Lindell Palestine, I thought this game was going to be a trap game for Lindell. Lindell had to win. In my heart of hearts, I was thinking Lindell was going to win, but I picked Palestine, right? Because why? Why the heck? Everybody else picked Lindell. But this was a game Lindell had to win, and they came out and they won the football game. And there was nothing wrong with that. And I thought they played hard. I thought they played, I thought the game was indicative to how they play. They had to win the football game, and shout out to Lindell for doing it. They won 2 in a row, and that's what they've done. I don't think Palastine's a bad football team, but I think Lindell was just a little bit better up front.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. The Kilgore Athens game, hey, Kilgore got caught with the pants down. It may be that coach of Athens knows how to game plan against Kilgore.
I think your word matchup, Corey, I think it makes a difference. I did the district show today with Terry, for S2S, and we talked about that specifically. That Chapel Hill's the matchup with them versus Lindell and Palestine was a little tougher matchup. But we talked about this week. Athens kind of throws the ball around and plays a little speed up offense. They're not playing the same way, so there's both teams that play a shootout. So his thing is that, Chapel Hill matches up better against a team like that than versus somebody like Palestine and Lindell that gave Chapel Hill trouble trying to take the air out of the ball. So, I mean, matchups can definitely matter when it comes down to these games when they're, teams that one team can beat the other, if your team doesn't show up.
Mm-hmm. Moral of the story, matchups matter. They do.
Yes.
I don't care how good you are. You can get paired up against the wrong team or technically the right team and have a bad night.
But I will answer this question. Who does Lindell have coming up? Jacksonville?
Yeah, final game of the season for Lindell.
Final game of the season for Lindell.
Regular season.
And regular season. And right now they are still in second, I believe. Mm-hmm. But right now I think they gotta wait for Chapel Hill to beat Kilgore. Mm-hmm. To see if they win the district. All I do know is right now. Right now, Lindell's a dangerous team right now. They are a very dangerous team, despite the high scoring game with no defense against Palestine. They're still a dangerous team right now. But they're going to be in wait mode. They're going they're going to be in a position where they're going to be like, okay, this week 11 is just going to be okay, we practice, um, you know, maybe get 2 days of, hard hitting in, get a walkthrough in. We'll see who we play week 1 of the playoffs. Um, and then for Chapel Hill and Kilgore, we still waiting for that heavyweight matchup next week in Chapel Hill, and this is likely probably not, but this is likely a district championship matchup.
All right, game 7, Carthage 65, Center 20. Man, dude, I think this says two things.
I have 72-27.
Oh, you do? I have 65-20.
Either way.
72. It was 72 to 27.
72
That's what
something.
they,
Yeah, 72 to something.
Oh, okay. Well, I just had the wrong score, I guess. Anyway, a lot of points to a little points. And so, oh man, I think it says two things. Honestly, I think it says that Carthage's defense can play defense pretty well because Centers put up a lot of points this year, holding them at 20 points. The game started out, we were kind of keeping up with this one, and it was back and forth there for a few possessions, and then once Carthage opened it up, they just took control and put it to Center, and it's shaping up to be looks like Center is going to probably fall in that third spot after losing to Carthage and Van. And I know we're not in playoff mode yet, but it's looking like a juicy first round matchup between Center and Gilmer. Ooh.
That's gonna be a good game.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, for one, that game is probably going to be no defense, so it's probably going to be a high scoring game. But listen, I already knew this was coming. I just didn't think that Carthage. I said the score would probably be 48 to maybe 31 or something like that. Maybe Center. They get a couple of licks in on Carthage, and then Carthage pulls away. No, these dudes were when they were up 23-13. They didn't let the lead go no more. They absolutely. I saw Jet Surratt take the top off Center's defense 3 times in that game for long touchdowns. So, I mean, you're looking at this, and you're saying about Center, which I forgot who they played. Who did they play next?
Bullard.
Okay, so they play.
Bullard.
Yeah, so they play Bullard. All right, they're gonna win that game. I think that game is gonna be maybe a little close to the beginning, and then Center's probably gonna pull away. But then, I mean, when you look at Carthage, I mean, they are who they are. I said at the beginning of the year before I joined you guys on the show, I said the only team that could probably beat Carthage was Pleasant Grove, and I stand by that statement. Now,
Glen Rose.
You guys think, yeah, and Glen Rose. That's because Glen Rose gave Carthage a fight last year. They brought back a lot of people, but no, I think that now you guys say that Van is going to be Carthage this week, and this is likely the district championship matchup, and I know Van has a good defense. Well, guess what, guys? I'm here to tell you right now. I thought the same thing a couple of years ago when Carthage had a big district matchup. I forgot who they were playing, but they had a big district championship matchup against somebody. This is when they were still in 4A Division 1. I think it was Kilgore. But I thought the same thing. And Carthage ended up blowing Kilgore out of the water. So I don't. It's not shocking to me about what happened. Jet Surratt has gotten a lot better. The running backs and KJ Edwards and Kadarius Matlock have been astounding. And I told you those big receivers out there that they have, they're pretty good. Their offensive line, for some odd reason, I don't know where Scott Surratt gets these offensive linemen from, but they were Carthage's offensive line remains the same, and their defense is pretty good too. So we're gonna see what happens in this game. I still think Carthage is gonna give Van a whooping, and we're gonna see what happens.
The disrespect, Christian.
Mm.
All right.
I'm just saying.
So
Go ahead.
So here we go. Yeah, Carthage beat Center 70 points. Not surprised. They scored 36 in one quarter. So Carthage is Carthage. But let me just bring this. I know I said it this morning that Van was going to beat Carthage, and I convinced Vince and Corey to come to the side with me. But let me give y'all a stat to make y'all feel better, okay, about joining my side in this fight. So if we're going to compare teams, right? So Carthage just played Center this past week. So Center, in Monty Cross, the quarterback, passed for 99 yards. They had 99 yards through the air, did Center 204 yards rushing. So quick math, let's see, it's about 303 yards of total offense, right? Let's go back to the Center Van game. Van allowed 108 yards passing, 37 yards rushing. Quick math tells me that's 145 yards of total offense. So, yes, we talk about Carthage's defense, how their defense is so stout, but there's a team that we can compare that they played in back-to-back weeks. We all agree Center's got an explosive offense, and they do. They have fantastic athletes all over the field. Van held them to under 200 yards of offense. Without a quarterback, they ran the ball the entire game, ran for over 500 yards. Now, Carthage threw for over 400 yards, did it differently. All I'm saying is, before everybody just wants to count Van out, statistically speaking, Van is playing better defense right now than Carthage. So that's why I'm picking Van. And that's okay, Eddie. Not a lot of people do agree with me, but
I'm fine with picking Van. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Van is playing good football. I think Center was playing good football, and then they ran into Van, and now Carthage. I thought Carthage had the tools. I'm sorry, Center had the tools to beat Carthage this year because, number one, we all agreed that, if there was ever a time to get Carthage, it would be right now. Maybe if Center had played them week 1 instead of Kilgore, maybe. And looking at Center, watching how they play offensively, and the quick scores, I just thought that what would happen is they would put Carthage on the ropes, and Carthage would stay there all night trying to catch up. But number one, I did not account for how bad the defense of Center really is. I gotta say it that way because, like you said, against Van, they had a backup quarterback and they ran all night, and they got what they wanted. They got everything they wanted, and they did it running. And then Carthage turns around and they basically get what they want passing. So you can't defend the run or the pass is what it's showing right now, or at least in district. They have your number. I still think Center is a good team, and I still believe somebody could take out Carthage. I just thought that Center had enough to do it, and my God, it did not work out in their favor at all. It wasn't even close. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing with Van. I know they're good. Sorry, Corey. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Here's the thing with Carthage. I often wonder the whole year, other than the Kilgore game, because I think PJ Wiley did a good job against Brady Manning. Who's going to stop Brady Manning, by the way? Because this guy had 195 yards on Center. That was the guy who was taking – Jet Surratt was taking the top off the defense by throwing the ball to him. And he's – this dude – and I'm looking at just his bio a little bit of what he is right now. The dude is 6'5", and he's 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And runs a 4.5. Like, he's good.
But I'm going to ask you a question. Good. Have you seen Van play?
I've seen them play.
Have you seen them play?
They're
pretty good on defense.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
But they're not good enough to where they
They
can,
stopped a team that dropped 80 like in week 3 or 4, and then they dropped 7. They were averaging like 60 something points. They held them to what, 20, 28, 29?
And real quick to real quick to Eddie's point, that may be over the year. I said they're playing their best defense right now. In district, they're giving up 12 points a game. So half of that they've been getting up the season. So they're playing their best defense now. I don't care about all season long. That don't matter to me. What matters right now is district play, and through district, they're giving up 12.5 points a game. That's a good defense. They're 4-0 in district, 4-1 overall.
To some good. Hold on, say it right, KO. Say it right, KO. To some good.
Hold on.
They ain't playing
Van is 8-1 right now, right?
Part of that being
Van is 8-1 right now, right?
That Van is playing teams in district that are weaker than their pre-district schedule, because I think that's the case.
All right, let me wrap this up because we're not gonna bash on Van right now.
Ain't nobody bashing on Van.
What did I say yesterday? Hold on, no. I'm not saying y'all though. I'm just saying we traveling out to Vando. Y'all remember that? We traveling out to Vando this week. That's exactly what we're doing, right? This is exactly what we're doing this week. Van has had how many weeks? They're gonna have how many weeks to prepare for Carthage? 2 weeks.
How'd that work?
How many points are they giving up in district? 12.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you think Carthage is gonna drop 50 on them? I don't think so. Carthage is in for a dogfight.
Probably.
Carthage is in for a dogfight.
And you got to remember too, they district is Brownsboro. We said they were good. They held them to 7.
No, well, they're not good.
Oh, they're not good now. But when they played Van, they were. They was rolling.
Compare.
You got it. No, you got to look. Don't look at the whole.
I'm looking
when they play.
Look at Van's whole schedule.
But
you're
we
telling
was
me that Pine Tree, Chapel Hill, Lindale, and Paris are not as are what I'm saying.
But
that those 4 are better than Brownsboro, Canton, Rusk, and Center.
I'm not saying they better, but you acting like these people ain't good. We've been calling these people good all year. We just got through talking about Brownsboro.
Here's the problem with the schedule. Here's the problem with scheduling.
Rusk. We've just been talking about Rusk.
This is what I hate about strength of schedule. Right?
You compared Center to Chapel Hill.
Teams get better. Teams get better. It doesn't matter who you play in week 1. You're not the same team in week 1 that you're going to be in week 10. If you are and you're a coach, you got problems. Your team is not going to be. You don't want your team to be playing that well in week 1. I don't care who you play. Like I know strength of schedule. People look at it. That's for the AP polls. That's for sports writers. Got it. Coaches, man, I'm not looking at that. My football team is not the same football team for week 1 that is going to be in week 7. It better not be.
Okay. Here.
Now,
okay.
unless you're Pine Tree, you don't know what week you're playing in. You could be week 1 or week 7. I don't know. They're not consistent.
I will give you this. They did. You know. I don't want to say embarrassed, but they did give it to Lindale. I mean, they beat Lindale. But I just don't think that.
And now Lindale's playing their best football. This is a problem for everybody else because Lindale's playing their best football at the end of the year when you need to be. So Coach Cochran ain't got nothing to worry about. I know my football team's rolling right now. Whatever we got's working right now, and we're gonna stick with it until we get stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you gonna do now? Now what's the problem? Now you got Kilgore. Kilgore rated to a bus on Athens. Was their best football? No, it may not have been their best football. But hey, you know what? It's a wake-up call.
I mean, that was probably for Kilgore, that was probably the worst football all year. I mean, that was just about it. But because they were playing great football all year long. I mean, even against Carthage, if it had not been, like I said, Carthage, Kilgore had a bad call. Where the ref said it was pass interference, the ball wasn't even catchable. If they don't have a bad call, they win that game. So, I just don't see. Van is very motivated. I mean, they're 71 right now.
Yeah, and
it's gonna be a tough game for Carthage.
Don't get me confused. I'm not saying Van's a bad team. I just don't think they're a good enough team. I think they're just not.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So
I just don't think it's going to be a blowout. It seems like everybody thinks it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
It ain't going to be no blowout. It ain't going to be no blowout.
And I think Van has done everything they needed to do to get to this point. And so to look at it like it might be a blowout, it's just, to me, I'm like, nah. You did what you had to do. You beat everybody on your schedule.
this will be
Because
this will be the game that tells me like where Van is at right now. Because I do think, and honesty to goodness, nothing against their district schedule they've had so far, but their pre-district schedule was tougher than what they've played so far. Okay, so let's see how they do against Carthage, and that'll kind of be a good measuring stick. If they stick within a touchdown or two of Carthage, okay. But if they don't, then I guess we'll know either way.
I'll listen. I'll say this game. It'll probably be, in my opinion, it'll probably be 41 to probably if it is close. It'll probably be 41-28.
I'm gonna scroll back up. Aaron Frank been talking cash money noise in chat. I
What-
wasn't gonna let that. I wasn't gonna let that slide earlier.
what-
Eddie,
He said
thank
anybody
you.
picking against Carthage in district is crazy as hell. I must be the craziest person on earth, because I'm picking Van. I'm crazy as hell tonight. I'm picking Van. We trapping out the Van though.
I'm all
We
right.
trapping out
I'm
the
good.
Van though. And next week,
good.
if they lose, if Carthage lose next week, you better be on this show. We trapping out the Van though.
Oh, hey, speaking of this district, though, the next game is actually still in this district. Game 8 was Rusk 28, Bullard 21 in a big district matchup there. I had Rusk. That game was back and forth. Rusk scored in the fourth quarter at the end to get the win here. Guys, Aaron says he'll be here, so he says he'll be back.
My man.
Welcome to the show,
You're not
by the
from
way,
Hooks,
Aaron.
are you? You're not from Hooks, are you? I mean, if you're from Hooks, I don't count that. That kind of bad reputation.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Van.
That means not gonna lie.
Carthage ain't all that hard.
That's not gonna lie. Is what that
come
is.
on, man.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
you showing your age, bro.
New lingo.
I'm
man.
telling you guys, Van. Sorry, excuse me. Carthage is only gonna lose probably one game this
All right,
year, and
Chris,
that'll be.
Let's move on to the next game. We're gonna get this. We're still in the district here. Let's talk Russ Bullard, guys. I thought Russ could win this, and I think it was kind of like I thought. It was a pretty evenly matched game. I think just Coach Sitton's got a lot of things going on in Russ, doing a great job down there with this tough district they're in, and they get the gauntlet of the schedule. I mean, they start out the district with the 3 best teams, and have to start with 0-3. Your back's against the wall. That's a tough way to have to compete. But he's done a good job. The last year they were able to roll off some wins, and he was able to do it again. Guys, what do you think about this game?
Well, I think Rusk. The thing with Rusk is that I thought that this game was gonna be a higher scoring game than what we saw. But they scored at the end. And then the other thing is I was watching the highlights. Their defense made plays when they needed to. And I think that's been pretty much the whole thing down in Rusk. They have to make plays on defense. Otherwise, they're not going to win any games. Coach Sitton has done a great job with that team, especially the offense. I thought, coming into this year with Russ, I thought they would at least go 7-3. At the very least, go 7-3. I think who did they have next?
Rusk has Brownsboro this week.
Oh boy!
Remember we talked?
Oh yeah, we did talk about that this morning.
That's one of our picking games. And then they have Canton to finish the season. I still think Rusk takes the 4th spot.
Russ is going to take the 4th spot because I'm still flabbergasted about what Brownsboro did against Canton. I mean, you don't lose that game. You do not lose that. I know it's every week is going to be a battle, whether that's mentally or physically, or really both. Every week is going to be a battle, but you don't lose a game like that. You don't lose a game like that. That's why I'm going Rusk in this game. Unless Brownsboro can find, they need to get that out of their head before Friday night, because that was bad. You cannot lose a game like that. Rusk will get the 4th spot. But like I said, Rusk against Bullet, they made plays when they need to. They were down. I think the last time I really got in tune with that score, I think it was 14-7 Bullard, and Rusk was able to pull out all the stops offensively and defensively. make plays when they needed to on both sides of the ball, and get out of there with the win. And that's exactly what they did. But now Russ is going to have the 4 seed now. Will they get past the second round? I don't have an answer for that right now.
That would be a Pleasant Grove no.
Yeah, no.
Kyle,
No.
Kyle, what do you think about this game?
I thought it was a good game. I mean, Rusk has been kind of Jekyll and Hyde this season to me. I know they've had the top 3 teams to start the district with Center, Van, and Carthage. That's a rough slate. A close one to Bullard, and Bullard's been in these close games too. They barely lost to Brownsboro and barely beat Canton. Now they barely lost to Rusk. So Bullard's right there. They're just not. They just can't quite finish these games right now. But you got to give kudos to the Rusk Eagles, man. They're still fighting over there, and it's right in front of them. They can go out and beat Brownsboro this week and then take care of business against Canton. They'll be sitting in the playoffs. So congratulations to the Eagles, and excited to see what they could do. And for Bullard, you just got to finish out the season strong and build on it. I know you got Center and Van. You know you can put points up on Center. Teams have proven that. Can they get some stops defensively to keep that game close? We'll just have to see.
Yeah, they need an upset.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me with Russ was going to pull that game out. I can't remember who I picked. I know Bullard has been very surprising this year. I think as Bullard grows, they may be on to something. The defense has not been terrible this year, but it's more about the Rusk Eagles. That district schedule was front loaded. Center, Van, and Carthage, three of the better teams in the district, and then they've had to play against those teams, right at the beginning, and they weren't as good as those teams, obviously. But then they knew they probably could compete against Bullard, Brownsboro, and Canton. So they're going to take care of business.
It's been like they've been in the playoffs since after that. They started 0-3 in district, Corey.
Right. And so, and they've done it. They did it last year. They're doing it this year. Sometimes I don't want to say you got to play the cards, but that's what it's like. You play with the hand you've been dealt, basically. And that's exactly what they're doing. And, shout out to Russ. They barely beat Bullard. That makes me nervous. 28-21. That's a barely win. But that.
Oh God.
I don't like though. You said I don't like. I like convincing wins. I like 35-21 or 42-20. Something like that. But I know Bullard's a decent football team. You cannot lose against Brownsville. That's all I'm saying. Russ cannot lose against Brownsville. They better not lay in it.
I'm gonna throw y'all a little curveball.
All I'm saying.
I'm gonna throw y'all a little curveball. All right, so with Bullard, right? Do you guys remember a couple years ago when I don't know if y'all were at this game? I definitely was because I was a ball boy. Do you remember a couple years ago when Bullard? I think they had like 5 or 6 wins, and Chapel Hill was fighting to get into the playoffs. This is when Coach Hooker was there.
Don't tell me about the walk-off field goal, Christian. Please don't.
All right, so you guys remember when Chapel Hill went into Bullard, and Bullard got a big win over Chapel Hill, and I think they had gotten into the playoffs. I don't know if they went that far, but this is what it kind of feels like right now. I'm going to go ahead early and just go ahead and say Bullard over Center for an upset.
Wow.
Bullard over.
Wow.
Vince, Bullard over Center?
Yeah.
Bullard over Center.
Vince, what do you think about this Russ Bullard game?
Bullard is a tough opponent. Obviously, they played Brownsboro close, and then now they played Russ close. Russ, like Corey said, Russ did what they had to do. I mean, this is what they got to do to get the playoffs. So they gotta pull off one against Brownsboro next. So it's weird because I feel like I want to say these teams. I can't even really say truly that these teams are gonna beat up on each other because both of them beat Browns. I mean, both of them beat Bullard.
We're gonna have some weird
But
scenarios next week. I
I
mean, it's
got a
gonna be
feeling that Brownsboro is
Right.
gonna pull this next one off. I don't know
we
why,
gonna-
but
It's
the
a
way they
trap
both
game.
played Bullard, it's weird, man. Because it's like I'm I'm looking at it, and Bullard lost to Brownsboro by 6 points, and then lost to Russ by 7. Um,
That
I
means
just feel
they
like
were a
these
player
teams
two
go,
away from. Yeah.
yeah, and that don't mean that Bullard is bad. They just like you said, Corey. They like a player two away, honestly, from winning those games. But I don't think Center is gonna lose to Brownsboro at all. Actually, I think Center's gonna probably finish strong. But Brownsboro might come in second. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what's gonna happen in that district. It just, I don't know. Russ might blow them out. I have no idea, really. But shout out to Russ for winning that game. They pulled one out, and they needed to, so they did what they had to do.
Next one's game 9 here. Quick stat here. Coming into this matchup, we had Honey Grove and Cooper. Honey Grove had allowed 3 points all season. 3 points in 6 games. Cooper puts up 34 on them and goes and takes care of them. And then Cooper on the road does that to Honey Grove. I had Cooper winning this one, guys. I just felt like Cooper was still the better team. They played a tougher schedule. You saw how well they played with Hooks earlier this season. Only lost by 7. We all talked about how good Hooks is. I'm not really surprised. I'm honestly, I thought it might be a little lower scoring just because of the Honey Grove defense effect. I thought it might be maybe 21-7 or something closer or to a lower score. But I'm not surprised that Cooper took care of business and pretty much wraps up that district. They're now at 4-0, looking for that top spot in District 9 there. What do you guys think about this score?
I'm not. I don't even know what to say about this one. I picked Honey Grove to win this one by 10 points. That's basically what I'm not even. I'm actually kind of upset because the fact that Cooper did that shows how really good they are. But Honey Grove, I'm upset about it because I said how the game was gonna go was it was probably gonna be somewhere like 14-14. And I said Honey Grove would probably pull away, score a touchdown, get a field goal in the end, and then the game be over. No way Cooper's coming back. No, Cooper dominates these guys. And I it's annoying to hear that, to be honest, because I thought that Honey Grove was gonna be able to at least win this game by 10 points. And
Well, the thing is, Honey Grove really the schedule they had, and they did what they could with the schedule they had, but the teams they played, I don't think any of them were nowhere near what Cooper is. And Cooper had a few tougher opponents, which I picked Cooper in this too. So I went with Cooper for that reason. Because I just didn't know what Honey Grove would do when they faced with.
You saw Cooper last year as well, Vince, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I loved him. I loved him.
And they played.
I'm waiting. I was waiting to say something bad.
Oh,
I got good authority. I got good authority. That was so
no,
funny.
I said that one time. That was a year ago.
I know, but that was different.
I think it was on a couple of
I
shows.
mean, Vince was lying. He was like, I got
said
good
that-
authority.
I said
It was
that
2
was
or
a
3
long
weeks,
time
man.
ago.
It was 2 or 3 weeks.
Man, that was funny.
You finally gave
But it
up on
was-
your Athens inside.
Yeah, and then look at Athens now. They popped up.
Hey,
You were a year early.
It took me a while. It took me a
Good
while.
authority.
It took them a while. I'm sorry. But yeah, man, I like Cooper, and like I said, I didn't know what Honeygrove was gonna do when facing a tough opponent. So I had to go with Cooper in this. I didn't have
It's
no
gonna be a
choice.
tough. It's a tough little region here. You got Timpson and Beckville and Cooper and Honeygrove and Garrison, and this is a killer district for this area. Kyle, what do you think about this score?
I picked Honeygrove because I was going off the defense. But like I said earlier, I think the cream's rising to the top, and Cooper is still Cooper, and they did what Cooper does. So I think they'll when they meet that Cooper Beckville game is going to be a good one in the playoffs. They both got to get there to meet each other, obviously, but I think that'll be a good one. And yeah, so Honeygrove, they have had a weaker schedule, so that I knew that points thing was kind of skewed, but I still thought the game would be actually a little closer and that it would be a little low scoring. So kind of surprised about the score, but not surprised that Cooper won.
I just saw where Eddie asked. He was saying that I was being quiet. I'm just a little sleepy, Eddie. That's all. I'm just a little tired. I've been up all morning, so
Tell us something, Vince.
yeah. And then I'm looking at stats over here too. I'm tracking all these stats and stuff. So that's
by
why
the
I ain't
way-
really said a whole lot.
By the way, shout out to the Pride of Lindale Marching Band for getting another first place in the UIL
Oh,
Military Marching
come
Band.
on.
4 years in a row, baby.
Oh.
The Pride of Lindale.
Oh, man.
Throw your yells up, everybody. Throw your yells up.
hell for
No.
no, never mind. We'll be
No,
Wow.
for winners,
You know,
because
I
we are 4-time state champions.
that's
Proud
that,
of Lindale
that's all
Marching Band.
judges. That's
And
You know,
we've had
I
like
had something real. I had
49
something real funny
consecutive
to say.
ones
I'm
in
not gonna
UIL
say.
competition. Anyway, continue. Sorry. Shout out, Lindale.
Hey, you talked about
That
bands
joke
earlier.
would have been
You talked
proper.
about bands earlier, and these two had good bands. Our game 10 of this week, West Rusk 13, Troop 9. Kyle, you were at this game. I'm honestly surprised at the low score. I thought this might be a little bit higher scoring game. Tell us what you saw there.
Yeah, it was very low scoring. Both defenses played their tails off. The very first drive of the game for West Rusk, they were able to get into the end zone. Ty Harper had a rushing touchdown, and that was the only touchdown in the first half. Right before halftime or midway through the second quarter, Troop got a safety on West Rusk, so we had a baseball score of 7-2 at halftime of this game. Then Troop came out in the third quarter and was able to put one in the end zone to take a 9-7 lead. The very next drive, West Rusk was able to answer back, and I believe Cole Jackson, who rushed the ball 35 times for 236 yards on Friday night, he ran it into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown, 13-9. Both defenses, though, were outstanding. Ty Lovelady had an outstanding interception in the back of the end zone. The big story of the game, Trey Davis, the star for Troop, he got kind of banged up a little early on in the game. It looked like some type of lower back issue, maybe a back spasm or something. I don't want to speculate, but something was going on with him. And he wasn't the Trey Davis that we're used to seeing. He was kind of held in check Friday night, but you can give a lot of credit to the West Rusk defense for that as well. But very good defensive game. I enjoyed it. I like seeing a lot of points, but I enjoy these defensive battles as well. And there's a difference between a low-scoring game that's good and a low-scoring game that's bad. These were not bad offenses. These were good defenses playing against each other. So West Rusk did their thing. Troops still got everything right in front of them. They're still going to make the playoffs, and they still got a very good team. Need to get Trey healthy, and then if that defense plays the way they did Friday night, that could take them a long way.
Kyle, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Can West Rusk, do you think, how far do you think they're going to go first through the playoffs?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know who they would have. I'd have to see who they match up against. They're a good team. They're not the same team that I don't think they're as strong offensively as the team that they've had in years past. But defensively, they may be a little better this season. So I don't know. I'm maybe 2 or 3 rounds, maybe. I don't think West.
So they're gonna match up.
Well, I mean,
First round, they're going to match up against
the 4
probably
seed.
the 4 seed. It'll be looks like maybe New
Queen
Boston
City,
or
New Diana.
Redwater. New
Oh,
Boston.
wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they match up against the Hooks district.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
So it'll be New
Yeah.
Boston or
Yeah.
Redwater, one of
So
those two.
Defield and West Rusk wouldn't play in the first round anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think they have a chance. 2 or 3 rounds deep, I think, would be a successful season. Obviously, you want to win a state championship, but I think they would look back on it as a successful year. But they got a good football team, and they got a better defense this year than I think they've had in years past.
Okay, so here's the one thing I will say about Westeros. I think that they have the best defense in their district. And in my opinion, I think they do. Um, this this game, when I looked at it when it was 7-2, I was just kind of like, because I think it was 7-2. I think it was 7-2 going into what, the fourth.
No, it was
And
it was 13-9 going into the fourth, I think, or 9-7. I know that they had scored in the third quarter.
wow, so I didn't get to see much of this game because I was trying to, look back at the Chapel Hill Henderson game a little bit, but um, I did hear that there was some from just now from you and then from other people. There was some really good defense played in this game, and I think that this says something about both teams going forward. I think that they have two solid defenses, and I think that I thought this game was going to be a little bit more high scoring. I said it was going to be 24-21. Westeros walks off with the field goal. That's what I thought in this game. But both defenses were great, and that's pretty much it about that one.
Yeah, this district's gonna be. I mean, this region's gonna be tough. I mean, you got Dangerfield, Harmony, West Rusk, Troop, Hooks, I mean, Newton. I mean, it's just a really, really tough region. So, I mean, you make it 2 or 3 rounds deep, it's a good season for any of these teams. Corey or Vince, you got any thoughts on this game?
I mean, I picked West Rusk, so I mean, I just thought West Rusk would pull this one out, even though Troop is a tough team. And I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I could have been wrong, but I just felt like Troop hadn't really seen a team like this, for me to pick them. So that's why I went with West Rusk, and I'm glad I was right. I mean, I went 8-2, but I'm glad it was close, because if it wasn't close, then people will be questioning Troop, So I'm glad it turned out to be close. And like KO, I love defensive games. I love when I see defenses that just hold people.
They were flying around too. There were some big hits,
flying to the ball,
fumbles,
like
interceptions, safety. Like it was really good defense.
Yeah.
So I picked Troop, and I was rocking with boy Trey Davis, obviously. But I mean, West Rusk is just another one of those teams, man. They just know how to win football games. Sometimes you get a bunch of kids you get a program, you have an established program that's used to winning. You're not gonna take that away from those kids. They know how to win football games. So if they're having a crunch or it's time to play, they know what's been done ahead. Winning is contagious. So hey, they showed up. Shout out to West Rusk. West Rusk Raiders. Said it right.
Yeah. Let's look at the polls now, guys. Those are our games that we had. Polls for this week. We'll start with the 6A 5A poll. We have a new entrant in the 6A 5A poll this week. Tyler Legacy enters the poll in at number 5. Tyler High at 4, White House 3, Texas High 2, and Longview number 1 again in this week's poll. What do you guys think about that?
I think I like that poll. I like it.
No complaints from me. I had Mount Pleasant still at 5. I know they lost, but I didn't know who else to put in, really. I didn't even consider Legacy, to be honest with you.
And I looked at Legacy because they're looking at being in a playoff team.
Right, yeah.
They played a competitive game against a team that was in the poll at Texas High. And of course, they've played some bigger schools. And I think for where they are where they were last year and where they are now, I think that's a deserving mark. They're if you make the playoffs, I mean, and you've won some games. I mean, there's not really anybody. I mean, Lufkin lost. You had Mount Pleasant lost. A lot of teams lost out. Legacy's been winning, so
I agree with it. I like it.
I like it too.
All right, 4A. We got at number 10 is Rusk, that coming off a win over Bullard. 9 is Gilmer. At 7, we have a tie with Center and Lindale. At 6 is Sulphur Springs. Van is 5. Chapel Hill 4. Kilgore 3. Pleasant Grove 2. Carthage 1. Thoughts on that one, guys?
I don't. Lindale should be over Sulphur Springs. They really should. I think that they've played better football, in my opinion. Just the course of the stretch, of the last part of the season, they played better football.
Lindale was where
other
seven?
than they were number 7. Sulphur Springs was 6. I think that Lindale should be 6. I know it's just one. I know it's
One
only
spot,
one
yeah.
ranking. But
So I had Lindale below Sulphur Springs, and my reasoning was that Lindale's lost a lot of games. If they had no lost as many games as they did, then they probably would have been ahead of them. But have 4 losses, and Sulphur Springs has only lost 1.
3 of those losses were the top 10 teams, though.
Right.
I
That was my whole.
I understand, but I think that consistency, Lindale, they're moving up. So Sulphur Springs loses another game, they're going to jump them, even though it's just still have a couple losses more. But that's just how I'm doing rankings. If you got 4 losses, I know it's a tough schedule or whatever, but they still lost 4 games. They had chances to beat some good teams and have good quality wins as well. Sulphur Springs, they don't have as much wiggle room. They lose, they may fall down the rankings a lot. They may come to me. Sulphur Springs loses the game, they probably fall off the board.
True.
Okay.
Because I for one with Sulphur Springs, I don't see. I see them getting to the third round.
I like
that's about it.
I like where it's at. I think those teams, the top 5 are pretty solid. I mean, you got Chapel Hill right above Van. They did beat Van. They both have a loss. You've got Kilgore, Pleasant Grove, Carthage, unanimously those top 3. You'll see, Kilgore and Chapel Hill will play here in a few weeks. Van's going to play Carthage, so we'll have some interesting shakeups here over the next couple weeks. We'll see how those games go. But I think honestly, shout out to Rusk. They've kind of weathered the storm. They've got a chance to kind of stay in the poll for me as long as they keep winning. I don't see anybody else right now. I mean, obviously Brownsboro beats them; they could jump back in. But that bottom spot down there is kind of open. The top 9 for me are pretty much in. So as long as Sulphur Springs, if they lose, they could drop out. But other than that, I think it's pretty good poll.
Go ahead.
Were you about the same? What did you have?
I had the same thing. I just had Lindale and Sulphur flipped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I could see an argument like that. Yeah. That's when we have multiple voters. So, that's the whole point of having a poll.
Your top 5 is solid, and then you can argue. I guess you can argue 6 and 7, but it's still a solid poll.
Wait, Kilgore was in that top 5, right?
Yeah, Kilgore's at 3.
Van was 6.
Oh man,
Van was at 5. Corey, they're right behind Chapel Hill at 5.
I was just saying, as long as Van's up there, okay.
I don't PG being over Kilgore. That kind of bothers me.
I think
that kind of bothers me a little bit.
PG, I think.
That kind of bothers me.
I think PG could
might be the best team for it.
PG could be.
PG might be the best team for it.
Arguably they are.
Just,
I mean,
just any classification, Division 1 and 2, PG may be the best team.
Oh, see, Eddie is actually agreeing with me on this 5 and 4. See, I don't over 7 and 1. It's each your own. Some people want to vote a little differently. It's the way it is. No complaints. But I think honestly, I think that poll's pretty good. I could see a place where PG and Carthage could flip. I could see because I think in my mind, I think we're going to find that out at some point down the line. But I think
If Carthage loses Friday, then it'll flip.
well,
Because
I mean that would be if anybody loses, they're going to drop. I don't know that we have anybody that could take a loss and keep their spot. I don't know if we have anybody that solid. It'd have to be, if a close. What if Chapel Hill beats Kilgore by a game-winning field goal? Well, maybe Kilgore doesn't drop, maybe but a spot, something like that. But I don't really see that happening. Let's look at this little school, the 3A 2A TAPS poll. This is always interesting. All right, tied at 9 is actually a 9 and 10. So you're tied at 9. Jefferson and Lovelady. At 8 is West Rusk. 7 is Hooks. 6 Garrison. 5 Beckville. 4 Dangerfield. 3 Winsboro. 2 Malakoff. 1 Timpson. Thoughts on that? Check out, guys.
I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I kept Troop at 10. I had them at 7 last week. I moved them to 10 after the loss, just because they hung very. Truthfully, I didn't bring this up when we were talking about the game. Truthfully, just me personally, and I'm not one. Let me preface this by saying refs can never lose you a game. Let me explain. Because you could have done something in that game prior to take it out of the ref's hands. Like, it shouldn't have to come down to a call. So I'm just going to preface that by saying that. But there was a missed touchdown that Troop was not, like, right before halftime. Ty Lovelady caught a beautiful ball, one-handed, and he came down inbounds right at the 1, and he literally got pushed over the pylon, and they called him down at the 1. So probably should have been a touchdown. Anyway, all that to say, being at the game, that's why I left Troop in the top 10, just because of how close the game was. That was my reasoning, and why I didn't put West Rusk above them, because it's one loss for Troop. That was just my reasoning. Again, like you said earlier, Brett, it's just the way I did my poll.
Yeah.
But yeah, the top.
I also had Troop 10. I had Troop at 10.
To me, the top 7 is solid. Like, I mean, top 6 or 7 solid, where I don't have any disagreement. I think it's those bottom 3 or 4 teams that you can insert your name here, and I would be okay with it.
Yeah, Overton got some votes. They continue to win. They've been up and coming team. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I said Eddie's question about Tyler Grace lost this week. Eddie, they took their first loss this week, so that's why I think I had voted for them last week, but they came out of my poll after they lost.
Grace might go to the semifinal. Yeah.
Well, but they take a loss. This poll, this is a tough one. It's cutthroat in this poll. You take a loss, and unless you're at the very, very top, it's going to be tough to stay in it. Just because, like the Troop one, I mean, I almost dropped them out, but I did leave them at 7 just because the fact that the game was close, and those kind of games could go either way. I did personally move West Rusk up because I thought that was in my mind that was a quality win. So I moved them up in my poll, and I put them at 7 because I feel like they beat somebody good, and their schedule's been tough. They've played a tough schedule, so I didn't see the play before Kyle said that. I had no idea that even happened. So, but I just think you go into Troop and get a win in a hostile environment with district championship on the line, no matter how it happens. That's a good win.
You can see that play on the highlight film that I posted on YouTube.
Oh, all right.
I'm gonna look at it.
I watched some of those. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So where's everybody going to be this week?
I will be. I'm going to be at Chapel Hill, Athens. In Athens, it's going to be a good game.
Kyle?
I will be in White House for the district championship game. It's in the White House Wildcats and the Texas High Tigers. So should be a good one. I'm looking forward to that game.
That game's in White House?
Mm-hmm. Come on down, Vince. Come on.
I thought y'all were going to Van. Who's going to Van? Corey, you going to Van?
It's in Carthage. So
it's in Carthage. Oh, okay.
I mean, Longview's right down the road. I mean, I may get some blue on and sit in the
No,
stand.
it's
You
some good
know,
games out there.
it's some good game. I'd rather stay away from Longview and then I don't like to dabble in Longview like that. I ain't
Hey,
I'm from
anybody that
Tyler. You can't
I
just
just
go to
don't like.
Longview.
I don't like the thing with Longview was it's too much. I actually went to a Longview game. Me and one of my cousins, and it was pretty wild. And it actually had rained a lot, but I mean, it's pretty wild going over to the Longview side and
well,
watching
if you
them
really
play.
want to, make a road trip, you can come with me and Rob. We're going to H Town on Friday night.
Listen, we got to go to H Town in a couple of weeks.
So we got going to H Town. We're going to be calling the Brook Hill game, as they're going to be taking on a school out of Houston. Is kind of last minute added to their schedule, and so it's going to be an interesting game. Game time at 6 p.m. So my thinking is we get the game going, get the guard a win, and get back on the road. And maybe I'll tune in and check out some games on my phone while Rob drives. We'll be watching while I'm driving. Rob,
Shoot, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that road trip. I
so
think
if y'all aren't doing anything and
that's
you're setting up your stuff or hanging out, 6 p.m. game, we'll be going on the air and look. Brook Hill's looking to bounce back from that tough one, as Vince saw him get took to the woodshed
Yeah,
last week at Dallas Christian.
yeah.
Woo!
Man, that was a whooping. I
I'm
mean,
sorry, Coach Hubbard.
yeah, I talked to Coach after the game just briefly, and I told him, I said, man, you got a few weeks to figure that out, because I got a feeling y'all gonna see them again. Because I mean, I didn't know. I told Keith, I said the only time I had watched a game where I felt like this was when I watched Chapel Hill play Argyle. Normally, I watch teams and I think, how would I stop this? How would I do that? And I mean, I was just watching what they was doing, and I couldn't figure it out. I was just like, man, I don't know. You gotta almost bite on the run, because if you don't, he gonna torch you. He is going to torch you, and they got the athletes to pull off what they doing. That's what's so scary. What they doing, if they didn't have the athletes for it, it wouldn't be so bad. But the athletes they have, man, they make it like the Nettles, I think is his name, the receiver. Golly, bro. Like this dude, you could lose him on the field because you're following. They keep going motion back and forth, and then you just lose him, and then he's wide open. And not only is he open, you try to hit him all night long. He's breaking tackles all night long.
So if Brook Hill wins, they have to get the playoffs. They'll open at home as long as they take care of business in week 11 against McKinney Christian. They'll open at home. Game 2 would be against the Lubbock school probably. If they win that one, round 3, a rematch with DC, probably in Athens. That's what Jeremy said. So that could be
it's important. A lot of important games, and some furniture moving games around here. I like it. I love it.
There's a lot going on. We're going to be talking next week, but along with these games, Corey, next week's going to be scenario a day. So we're going to have all these scenarios.
It's a big week next week.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
You know what? I really can't wait, because we got Van doesn't play Carthage this week, do they? They do play them this week.
Yeah. They play them this week.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's about to go
So I got to put on my calendar. I need Aaron back this week. Yeah, make sure. Gotta get Aaron to come back. Yeah, for sure. Because we talk about that. Because you just that positive. Can't nobody be caught. Listen, dog. Ain't nobody that perfect. Y'all breathing through district. Van got something for you. It ain't gonna be as easy as you think it is.
Yep.
And y'all, Van, you better not let me down. Y'all been trapping
all
year.
Is that game in Van, or is it in Carthage?
It's in Carthage.
I think it's in Carthage.
Okay.
I don't know how
they really ain't gonna win that game.
I don't know how many games they've won in a row at Carthage, but it's probably a lot.
At home.
That's okay. I know all y'all will be back that's on this thing. I just want everybody because I'll come back. If Van gets blown out, I will come back and eat my
I'll be here
gladly.
Absolutely.
But if Van wins, like I think they will, I want everybody to come back, and I want flowers.
And I didn't get a
We're
chance to
trapping
get.
out the van, though. I told you what
Hey,
we're doing,
hey,
baby.
and listen, Spence got lucky because I didn't get a chance to get a hold of him. I had some church duties I had to take care of.
I tried to handle it for
but
you,
I
Vince.
watched. Yeah, I saw you. But I watched. I was sitting there in the church just with my phone on.
We trapping out the van, though. That's what's happening.
But yeah,
Told you what it
like
was.
KO said, like if they lose, I'll be back for my whooping. Christian already told me. He already
here's the
clowned me
thing.
about
So
Sinner. So
that's everybody.
here's-
Everybody come back next week right here at 8:30 p.m. We'll be back wrapping up Week 10 games. Don't forget, if you haven't caught our Beast from the East show, it came out this morning. It's on YouTube and on our podcast platform. Go check that out. You can see who all we picked for this upcoming week. So then next week when we're debating, you'll know who we picked and how we did. For Christian, Kyle, Corey, and Vince, we'll catch you next week right here in the Weekly Rapid Show. Thanks for watching. Everybody, have a good weekend. Enjoy your football.
Peace.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.